Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to episode 18 of the Spice Squadron podcast.
This is the Spice Squadron's Christmas episode Eve. The eve of episode before the Christmas episode Eve. Welcome.
Right.
Welcome,
That is certainly
everyone. Welcome.
a sentence of all time.
What a good year this has been, and what a good 2 weeks this has been for Star Wars Unlimited.
Yes.
Fans around the globe.
Yep.
Chock full.
I dare say next year is probably going to be better.
True. I would say that it's probably going to be better on account of we get our cards.
Yep, that is the key.
But I think this month has been pretty fun. I think we're done for streams this month.
Yep.
We had the really for this year. We had a really nice stream with Xander, Tyler, and Jeremy. They played some decks. Unfortunately, Danny couldn't be there. He's on a plane. But they were playing some games with decks they'd created. Really fun to watch. And most importantly, I think over the last week, we've gotten the most Star Wars Unlimited spoilers we've ever gotten.
Yes, I believe the last record was 11.
We're at 15.
Yeah, because it was 3-6. Yeah, I think it was 11, and we're at 15 spoiler cards. There is a lot of spoiler cards. There's a lot of new stuff. A lot of stuff that we have not seen before.
Yeah. A lot of stuff. We got a leader. We got some new stuff. We got some new aspects, or should I say, no aspects.
No new aspects. There are no new aspects.
There are no new aspects. You will see what we mean. We got some awesome trooper support.
Ooh, a lot of troopers. A lot of troopers and a lot of support for troopers.
And a lot of support for troopers. So this episode, we're going to kind of cover off the spoilers. We're going to talk a little bit about each card, where we think they belong, if they have a home. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a long one because we've got a lot of cards. So
you might see us on our phones. We're literally just because there's 15 spoilers, and we will forget one if we don't have something reminding us.
We remember most of them, and we usually are really good with it. But 15 is a lot of cardboard, and I just... Whew.
And someone's going to forget...
It's me.
One of them.
I'm going to forget all of them. Remember the Consortium Star Viper incident of 23?
I do. It was a horrible time.
It was a horrible time.
It nearly ended us.
It's true. It's true. I just liked the video. I didn't.
But we've got to get started, otherwise we're never going to finish. We are going to start with a fantastic reveal. Trooper.
It's something you love. You love this.
I love this.
Your blue villains.
I love my blue villains. It is a 2-cost blue villain, and it is Scout Bike Pursuer. It is a 1/4 ground unit with grit.
He's Imperial Trooper too, so 2 really sweet keywords.
Very, very cool keywords. Weirdly enough, not a vehicle.
I guess it's I think a lot of people saw this card and were like, wait a second.
Yeah. Yep. I was like, finally, a use for...
I honestly...
Snow Speeder.
I 100% thought that he'd be a vehicle. I thought Scout Bikes would be a vehicle. Guess what? Guess we're waiting for a land speeder from Tatooine.
The question is, are we going to get a Scout Bike that is not a Scout Bike Pursuer, implies the person on the Scout Bike?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Are we just going to get a Scout Bike?
Maybe. I mean, this guy, he's chilling. He's from the Battle of Endor. He chased Leia on the... Is it Luke and Leia on the back of it? Or is it Han and Leia?
Yeah. No, it's Luke.
Oh, it's Luke and Leia on the back of the speeder. And man, it's been a while since I've seen that movie. I
watch it every day.
Every single day. He is a
Star
New
Wars.
Hope. Yeah, he is Star Wars. James is Star Wars. James Brill's Star Wars. But this card's awesome, and there's a couple of reasons why this card's awesome. Firstly, for all you people out there like me who are looking into things that aren't red-green but are still troopers, this is a nice card to have in your other trooper deck. This card works wildly good in your favorite leader.
Grand Inquisitor. It definitely does. This is a card that is probably the best, one of the best cards. Fifth Brother is up there as well.
We can play Fifth Brother the turn after you play and use.
Yeah, this is the best opening move for Grand Inquisitor.
For
if
sure.
you opening move play this use your leader's ability to untap him and swing. You have essentially played on your first turn a 3/2 that and it comes in ready.
Imagine if Fiber Probe Droid came in and its ability wasn't look at your opponent's hand, it just came in ready. That's why
I'd play that card.
I'd play that card. You can with this card, if your opponent plays a C3PO, you can tap, untap, swing into it, deal some damage to C3PO and get some damage out there. I think this card's awesome because you can just go face turn 1. And Grand Inquisitor doesn't want to claim before your opponent. So you're going to roll off, you're going to be like, hey, I'm going to go second. You take it away. They go, oh, I played my awesome little guy. And then you go, cool. Scout Bike Pursuer, untap it, swing. And they're like, oh, I didn't think you could do that.
I think the only caveat to this is if you are going against Tarkin Town, it is rough. I've had that a few times playing on various felt table, various things. Tarkin Town can put you behind early with this if they immediately use it. But having said that, you just use Tarkin Town. So that's it for the rest of it.
So it's difficult to use Tarkin Town against this, right? Because I feel like a lot of people will be of the mind that, oh yeah, he's just played his unit, he's going to pass now, so I'm going to claim.
Yeah, if you need to wait for them to claim to be able to do it.
And Tarkin Town's a very fringe, like, not every deck runs Tarkin Town. I think there's one.
Well, not every deck we build.
Go check out last week's episode about overrated cards. Anyway, gotta give yourself options. Not every deck runs Tarkin Town, and I mean, why would you? And most of the time, I genuinely believe most people will forget. They will claim, and then turn 2, you're gonna catch them out because you know what they're gonna do. Straight away, they're gonna be like, I use Tarkin Town, and you're like, okay, it's already swung.
Yeah, it's already done its job.
I can't untap it again or it dies. And then you go 5th brother.
Yeah.
And they go, oh. And then you go, tap Grand Inquisitor, untap the 5th brother, get him for 5.
Yeah. This is definitely a fantastic card in Grand Inquisitor and really pushes that blue-red Grand Inquisitor deck to the forefront.
Puts it in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely pushes it to the forefront of being in line with that mono-red and that red-green deck. Like, both of them.
It's surprisingly aggressive, and I really like it.
Yeah, I'd love to see, now that we've seen some other villain blue cards, I'd love to see this being used and finding different blue-red Grand Inquisitor decks. I've got my own. It's coming together. There's a lot of... one of the weird things about it is there's a lot of different ways to build it, and I'm trying to work out which is the best way.
Yeah. I still think Force is the best way, but there's so many that we're still limited on Force units. I think overall with this card, I reckon I'm definitely going to give it like a 3.5 out of 5 on the Spiceometer. I reckon this is a solid play. I reckon if you're building a deck that's blue and you're like, I don't know what I want as a first turn play, this is good. Yeah. This is good because you can swing into low body units to get it up. You can swing and threaten to life. And yeah, it's 1 damage every turn, but it's 1 damage every turn. If they swing into this unit, cool, it gets buffed up and they can swing for more. It's like the Chewie leader.
Great in conjunction with Death Trooper. Great in conjunction with Krennic. Yeah. We do have one problem, Reese.
It's not a vehicle.
No, this recording's been going for like 8 minutes and we've only talked about one card.
We definitely got to keep it moving because the next one is also a blue villain.
This is a blue villain. It is a leader. It is Iden Versio.
She is awesome. She's a Battlefront, I believe, Battlefront character and character.
Battlefront 2.
Battlefront 2 character from the story mode. This leader is pretty sweet. So her ability is she's a blue villain. She's tap action. If an enemy unit was defeated this turn or this phase, you heal 1 damage from your base.
Yeah, absolutely. We've said it before, generic, good. It does cost the action, which is an interesting caveat. I would have loved for this to be Boba Fett style.
She exhausts on defeat and heals 1, but I get it. She does flip at 6 resources, and she is a 4/4 with shielded.
Yeah, that shielded really comes in handy, and it's like, yeah, you can be like, oh, but she gets hit by takedown, and that's like, I get it, I understand, that is something that you have to be wary of, but it's not like it's IG or Sabine where they're being hit by force choke or open fire in
It's
IG's
really,
case.
really just takedown that gets her.
Yeah.
Which is tough. It's one of those things where you're definitely going to have to play around it when you're playing in a blue matchup. But in everything else, it is kind of hard to deal with that shield. Yeah, red can deal the upgrades and stuff, but it's taking them actions. Big thing with her, when an enemy unit is defeated, heal 1 damage from your base. This is not an action.
It's not once per turn.
This is a static ability.
Every single time one of your opponent's units is defeated, heal 1.
My first thought, many other people's first thoughts, Overwhelming Barrage. Overwhelming Barrage, kill 3 units, heal 3 damage to your base.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a deck that is going to thrive in a controlled stall environment.
This is a controlled stall.
This is a deck that if you reach a point, there's a tipping point in aggro versus control where aggro starts to the control player starts to level it out. The aggro is starting to run out of steam. If you let Iden get to that point, you will not beat her because
she'll just kill everything you play.
Yeah, she'll kill everything you play and heal up every single time she does it.
I like this a lot. I think a notable thing about her too, she's actually a trooper. Taj can buff her.
Yeah, and any other trooper synergies that we might be seeing in future card would work on her as well. And so I think there's a lot of ways you can build her. I think, yes, there is that stall and control style, which is more my style. But I think there is definitely something to be said for...
Red-blue trooper beatdown!
Yeah, there could be a red-blue trooper beatdown where you're using that kind of shielded to just get as much damage. You're getting you're killing things anyway, so you're just getting a little bit of heal here and there to win the race, essentially.
I like the idea that the Iden aggro deck doesn't actively try to clear your opponent's board, just goes face, and it heals from the fact that your opponent is forced to trade into your units. I think Iden is interesting. I think that she will take some skill to crack, so I am going to give Iden overall like a 3 out of 5 on the Spiceometer. I think potentially more, depending on how she goes, but we'll revisit that when we get the full card list and we do our tier list for that.
That is fair enough.
Spec Force Soldier. He's a little guy.
He's a little fella.
He's a 1-cost red hero. Best colors. 2/2. Rebel Trooper.
Love those keywords.
He has a really interesting effect. When played, a unit loses Sentinel for this phase.
Yeah, really interesting.
Nice
Definitely a counter to Chewie.
For sure, because it doesn't specify non-leader. So you can just, nice Chewie leader, buddy.
Yeah, even like, I dropped this for Sentinel. I get rid of it, Sentinel.
Swing. Rebel, so it can work in layer. A 1-cost that can help Sabine decks get around it. Overall, a 1-cost 2/2 red hero. Not a bad card. Triggers things like Fighters for Freedom. Triggers things like a card that I'm personally very, very excited to talk about coming up. It works in a lot of those hero aggro decks right now. I, for one, like this card quite a lot. I think it's really interesting. James made a really good point and said it's a really solid sideboard card too.
Yeah, I think this is a card that's you're really going to see in sideboards. I think it's a decent card to have in that main board if you're going for the style that it's kind of going like that heavy aggro style, 1-drops, low to the ground.
Yeah, a low to the ground 1-drop 2/2 in an aggro deck can, unless we get something better, that's going to be invaluable. Yeah. And maybe late game, if your opponent has a Sentinel, the skill's relevant.
But yeah, I definitely think this is a solid 1-drop. I think a good addition to Aggression Hero.
Yeah, I give this one, I like this one. I think I'm partial to it, but I'll give it a 3 out of 5 on the Spiceometer. It seems pretty middle of the road. I think if something better comes out, it gets shelved. Otherwise, it's pretty solid. This card's awesome. This card is awesome.
This card's very good.
We love this card. We've started to see a lot more of these. We've started to see a lot more of these events or non-unit cards that say, when you use this, attack with a unit and it gets this. But if you guys like Fleet Lieutenant, if you like Snow Trooper Lieutenant, And you're
If you
gonna
like shoot
love this.
first.
Yeah, if you like shoot first, you're gonna love this card. There's Precision Fire. It's an aggression tactic. It costs 1 red. Attack with a unit. It gains Saboteur for the phase. For the attack. Wow, that's good. If it's a trooper, it gets +2/+0 for this attack.
There are a lot of troopers.
There are a lot.
You are not gonna be missing a trooper to use this on.
Fleet Lieutenant, Snow Trooper Lieutenant, First Legion Snow Trooper, Shore Trooper, Death Trooper, Spec Force Soldiers a Trooper.
Iden Verso.
Fighters for Freedom, Iden Verso. There is a lot of troopers. A lot of troopers in this, just lot of spoilers too.
Yep.
This card's awesome if you're building a deck that you're like, I don't know what to do, I need Saboteur. Well, here's your one go Saboteur. Get rid of those shields. Get through those Sentinels. You will have troopers in your deck. You just will.
Yeah.
There are so many troopers in the game.
If you're playing aggression, you have troopers.
Yeah. And it's not because, like, you'd be like, oh, well, no, because there's so many. It's like there are just so many cards that you might not even realize are troopers until you've played it and gone, it's a trooper. And that happens a lot to me. Like when this card came out, I was like, I wonder, and went through a lot of the cards. Man, there is a lot. And I did, like, there was some that I didn't even clock onto. This card is awesome.
Art as well on this card. I love the art on this
awesome
card.
is that?
I really can't wait to see the hyperspace foil.
Yeah,
of this card. I think it's gonna be really good.
This is definitely a card I want to get blinged out. I give this one a 4.5 out of 5.
Mm.
I think this is
That is
such a solid card. I think if you're building troopers, it's good. I think if you're not building a heavy trooper deck, you're more than likely going to have a lot of troopers. It's good. This card will just get better the more sets come out. Twilight of the Republic, guys, clone troopers. They're all going to be troopers.
Yeah.
A lot of them are probably going to be red. So you're gonna this card is gonna be good set 1. This card's gonna be great Twilight of the Republic. Mark my words.
Yeah, I think this card is going to be one that we see for a while, along with kind of surprise strike and shoot first. In that kind of idea of like, if I can get more damage into you without you having a chance to, like, you've calculated the board, I can't win yet. Like, how many games have you won because I've gone, oh, you got surprise strike, you win.
Yep.
Literally last game.
Happens
Check
all
out
the
the last
time.
gameplay
Check out
episode.
last gameplay. We sit there, James draws his hand, he goes, if you've got surprise strike, I'm done. If you don't have surprise strike, I've got a chance. First thing I do.
Yeah. And it's one of those
Spoiler
things where it's
alert.
always going to be a thing, right? In games like this, having that extra damage to push you over the top is always going to be a threat. That's why we've seen so many cards that have that kind of threaten to it and are really important.
Especially
we
on
saw the
low-cost events.
yeah, the rugged raiders.
Rugged Survivors.
The raiders, the ship.
Oh, Ruthless Raider.
Ruthless Raiders, that's it, not Rugged Raiders. The Ruthless Raiders coming in, dealing 2 to base, like, that's another thing where it's just like, you're no longer, whereas when you first kind of started playing the game, you're pretty safe on lower, but there was less surprise damage.
There's a card that I just want to get through the rest of these so I can talk about it.
It's the last card.
It is the last card, unfortunately for me. It's a 5 for me. I know, it's a 5 for me. I love that card, spoiler alert. But this card, so good. It will get better. There is no way it won't. Troopers have seen support now. They might not get a lot of support set 2 just because it's, Outer Rim, which is going to be really exciting. But set 3 is Twilight of the Republic. And if we don't see clones in there, something's wrong.
Can't argue with that.
Our next card. The double cards are back. This is this week's voted on double card. This one's pretty neat. Hey.
It is very interesting, and I think a lot of people immediately discounted this card.
I was one of them.
For a few reasons. This is Attack Pattern Delta. This is a 3-cost command that says, give a friendly unit +3/+3 for the phase. Give another friendly unit +2/+2 for the phase. And give a third friendly unit +1/+1 for the phase.
got to go wide or you got to go home.
This is absolutely a go wide kind of deck, right? What you're looking for is a deck that it is trying to go wide. At the moment, that's pretty much only mono green Lair, which we haven't seen much of, or mono green Hera, which we have seen a little bit of, which is probably the better deck at the moment between those two because you can run those Ezra's, Sabines, and Kanans. I think this card is heavily stepped on because the idea of, hey, this is a temporary buff really sits heavily on people's minds.
I think it's more for me, and the reason when I saw this card first and was like, this is funny, was it the prerequisite of having 3 bodies on board. And it's in decks that right now I don't think we have enough for those decks. So that's why a lot of people discount the cards. That's why I first discounted the card. We've had a bit of a conversation about it already, and I think I'm still not sold on it. But I think that if we get the right stuff, then yeah, this could be a great card. But I think, yeah, when you did say the Hera, mono green Hera, I went, okay, that's not that bad because you can like buff the Ezra to make him a 6/7, buff Sabine, you know, like that's not bad. I think it's just the prerequisite of having 3 bodies on board can be real heavy.
I think, yeah, there's definitely I think Hera is the best for it, and there's a few reasons for that. The Hera deck itself is kind of entrenched in that kind of experience counter. No, it's mono green.
Trap.
In that experience counter with Hera's ability of being able to buff things up. I think this is definitely a card that can really swing turns if used right, but it can also fall flat if used recklessly.
This could end games.
This could absolutely end games. Plus 6 damage.
I think this is I definitely think this is we played it a little while ago, mono green Tarkin. I actually think this is a 3-of in that deck because you can drop things like Snowtrooper Lieutenants, Viper Probe Droids, Shore Troopers, Emperor's Royal Guards, like other Tarkins, all that kind of stuff that you're getting out there early. And now there's even some more other trooper support we can put in that deck because of some other cards that we're going to talk about. That you could even run this and even run Taj and still have a good base of troopers to run. Selbot Guards a trooper, things like that. So, like, honestly, probably one of the best archetypes now is Trooper. But this card works well in a Tarkin deck, I feel, because you can go wide, go tall, and finish your opponent off with your smaller units that they might not have expected. I don't know how I feel about this card. I think it's really reliant on what else comes out for green right now. For me, it's a 2.5 out of 5. I definitely think that number realistically can only go up. I think that's the lowest I'd ever put it. I think this card can only go up, and it's just dependent on what comes out next for green. Yeah,
I think as we're going forward, this is definitely a card to look out for. If we get that mono green go wide strategy, it's going to be huge. If we get more cards in the vein of the Battlefield Marine, then we're going to be... This is going to be a really interesting card to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I agree. You are being rescued. Do not resist. It is K2SO.
He's here. Not the art that we'd seen.
No, was just about to say that. The art we've seen, go check out the official Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, is K2SO, and it's at his last stand in the control room, and he's got his blaster out, and he's firing. That's the art we've seen. This is K2's holding a grenade. You can see it right here. This card is awesome. This card's awesome for a number of reasons. Firstly, K2SO is dope. Secondly, he's a rebel. For all you droid fans out there, this is our 3rd droid card.
Yep.
Red Hero, 4 cost, 4/4, great stat block. Overwhelm, we haven't seen an Overwhelm unit in quite some time.
Yeah, interesting that it's on this. I think it really kind of exemplifies what this card is trying to do, and that's just swing into as many units as it possibly can.
When defeated, for each opponent, it's great in multiplayer, James said, choose one. Either deal 3 damage to that player's base, or that player discards a card from their hand.
Yeah, this is really cool. This is a card in a similar vein of Ruthless Raiders, where the defeat is just
rough.
straight
It's
damage.
just rough.
It's one of those cases where it's like,
You
I
either-
play this, I'm going to either swing at you for 4 or you take 3 if you defeat
yeah.
it.
It's either you cop it now or you cop it later. And in the meantime of copping it, K2SO is just beating your face in. Man, one thing I saw this card and I immediately was like, oh my god. I really want to maybe look at building a green-red Sabine deck with this because I just think using Iadu Conversion Complex and ambushing K2SO in to kill something on board, using him like Callus essentially, kill something on board, he comes in, he can maybe deal some damage to the base, and then he just deals 3 damage to your opponent's base as well. All like, I think that could be a huge tempo play. Other than that, he's a 4/4 for 4 that's coming in. He's either eating a piece of removal and you're going, cool, take 3.
Yeah.
Or he's staying around and he's killing your opponent's board. This card is so sweet. It really is one of the cards I think Red Hero needed.
It's one of those things where it's like, you don't even mind swinging into stuff like Greedo.
Yeah.
And just being like, cool, I swing into Greedo, I deal 3 to your base. What are you going to do? Flip it, kill him, and then I'm going to do 6 to your base in one
turn,
swing.
In one swing. Awesome. I love that. I love that so much.
One of those cards that's really a sleeper. Like you're reading, like that's good, but it's really good because that's damage that can only be avoided in one way, and that's 2 ways. One way, waylay, command, bounce it back to your hand. Second way, don't kill him, which isn't really an option.
He's going to come in at 4. This card, notably, not just the damage is great. The damage is probably the best option. But you're ahead. You're winning on damage, and you go, I really don't want my opponent to have resources. They've got like 2 cards left in hand. Discard 1.
Yep.
And they go, okay.
I think this is in the vein of Leia, the unit Leia, where there is there is an option that you're very much choosing more than the other, but the fact that there's an option just makes it better.
I really like this card. I think K2SO, because Rebel Hero and Red Hero has struggled to have a decent 4-drop, in my opinion. Dodonna is fine. He's not great. Callus is good, but he's not a rebel. He's not hero. Kanan's okay too. And only recently I feel like he's stepped up.
I think initially he was like looked down on. Now he's kind of stepped up to being.
I think this is awesome. I think K2SO is really relevant. I think if you're running a low curve red deck with a low ceiling, this is the top of it. I give this a 5 out of 5.
Wow.
I think this is going to catch a lot of people off. I think there's going to be a lot of pivotal moments in the game where someone drops a K2SO and that person sits there and goes, good game. Because it's either the K2SO kills you from his ability or you have to get swung at him and you die to that.
Yeah.
Because it's tough. You could be on 3 life and your opponent plays a K2SO and like you've claimed and they play K2SO and you're on 3 life. What are you going to do? Untap and remove it?
Yeah, it's one of those situations that can be very hard to get yourself out of, and it's one of those things that's making aggression this really dangerous thing that can just burn you down so quickly. And it's just so dangerous. Even dropping below 10 against these aggression decks is so dangerous at the moment because it's so easy for them to get that last few hit points without having to worry about having things on board. Previously, it was quite easy to be like, okay, I've stabilized on like 10 or even 5 and been like, okay, but I should be good because I can kind of deal with everything that they're playing. K2SO, another card we're going to be talking about soon.
Literally, I think we go into that now. Right next up, you were saying Red's going to hit you with like that burn, that aggro. We saw Saw's Partisans last week. This, for me, those cards were made for each other.
Oh, absolutely.
This is another one of Saw's men. It's Benthic Two Tubes.
Good old Two Tubes.
Good old Two Tubes. He is a 1-cost aggression 2/2 Rebel Trooper. 2 solid keywords. The 2 best keywords in the game.
Two of the best keywords in the game. The other one that's coming close, the only 2 that are coming close is Force and Imperial.
Force and Imperial. I actually genuinely believe, I'd say probably Force is the best keyword overall because as the game goes on, it's going to get the most support.
But I think at the
if you're asking me in
moment-
set 1, it's Trooper, or Rebel or Trooper, and then Imperial, then Force. Definitely set 1. Those cards, that keyword's amazing. But enough about that. This card, on attack, another friendly aggression unit gains raid 2 for this phase.
Yeah, that's...
Hello, Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah, it's really good. Being able to have this kind of sneaky effects that can just stick around for the phase is so good, especially when we've seen so many things like the Partisan Warriors.
Yeah,
Partisan Insurgents that are like, oh, if you have another thing, gain raid 2. But him, he swings, they have raid 4 now. He's another red
your
unit.
Your opponent just took 7 damage.
It's a lot of damage, and if like in something like Leia, where you can swing them both at the same time,
you could play turn 1. You could go Spec Force Soldier, Benthic. They pass. Your first action can be to tap Leia to swing with both of them. You can get in for 6 damage. That's nuts. That's nuts.
Crazy.
This card is really, really good in a lot of decks. It is a solid card, solid cost, good body. I think this card's wild. I think it is an awesome mirror to Saw's Partisan Insurgents. I don't think there's too much else you can say about it aside from if you're running a red deck, this guy goes in it. Because you've got a lot of red units. You're going to be buffing them up. Give K2SO raid 2.
Oof.
Raid 2 Overwhelm. When he dies, he deals 3. But Two Tubes is a fine card. Two Tubes makes every other red card in your deck better. He is a 1 cost. He triggers Fighters for Freedom.
Yep.
When you play him, you deal a damage, and then you can swing with him to give your Fighters for Freedom raid 2 and deal more damage. So, man, I gotta say, I reckon Two Tubes is a 5 out of 5 as well.
Yeah, I think it's...
Because he's just an auto-include.
Two Tubes is one of those cards where it's like, I will pay 1 and not do anything else with my other resource turn one just to get him out. Like, that, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, that's great. If you're running him in Tarkin Troopers, check out this week's gameplay. He gets triggered by Taj.
Oh, yeah.
You can play Taj and make him a 3/3. Like...
It's going to be, like, that deck is just getting better and better and better.
Yeah,
Precision shot, absolutely. Taj. It's...
Yeah, he's definitely... That Trooper keyword bumps him up. Heaps. Rebel is good. Rebel is good enough. Trooper? Wow. Next up, speaking of Troopers, this card slaps. Another absolute winner of a blue villain. Who is he? Tell us what he does.
Delmico.
Delmico.
He's a 3-cost vigilance villain. Imperial Trooper.
Oh, yes!
We had the Rebel Trooper. Imperial Trooper
now.
He is a 3/3.
Such a good body for a 3-cost.
Restore 1.
Yep, that's great.
Each event an opponent plays costs 1 more.
Nice try, Boba Fett. Nice try.
That shoot first for 2. Open fire for 4.
Is that Vanquish? No, it's actually Takedown. Haha, you mean worse Vanquish? Wow.
Overwhelming Barrage coming down at 6 rather than 5.
Which is huge. Galactic Ambition costs 8.
Don't talk to me.
Don't talk to you? All good. Any of the dual cost cards cost 5. There is a lot of events in this game, and a lot of them get worse by making them cost 1 more. Asteroid Sanctuary, taking up your opponent's whole second turn. If you are against Boba Fett, this card can ruin it. If you go first, you play that, claim, and play Delmico. Nice waylay, you can't use it. Nice shoot first, it costs 2.
And I think this card is huge, not just because of it by itself, but the fact that it's coming in alongside stuff like Charleston, like the Academy Training Walker.
Yeah.
Things that can and will defend this and keep it on the board. It's easy to say, oh, he's only a 3/3, so it's pretty easy to swing into him. It's like, oh no. It's really hard to swing with him because of all the other cards that blue villain has. And it's like, oh, well, then I'll just use my events to... Oh.
Wait a second. And there are no upgrades that can really get rid of him. This card, notably, I think works really good in... there's a deck that I've had in the back burner on my mind, and I've been interested to talk about it. Blue-green Tarkin.
Yeah, I remember when
Blue-green control.
Tarkin first started coming back into the picture. It was that blue-green Tarkin deck that people were talking about.
Because he's an Imperial, so every single turn you can buff Del Meeko to get him bigger and bigger and more out of the range of enemy fire. He's a trooper, so if you're running other troopers, you can run Taj and trigger him. But Restore 1, amazing. We know that comes in so clutch. And the fact that he's a 3/3, such a good body, but that control. That control, him and Thrawn, blue-yellow Thrawn.
Yeah,
I can use my
absolutely.
events, you
Coming
can't
down
use
in
yours.
blue-yellow Thrawn, I think this is a card that fits into running regional governor as
Cool.
well. Like these two
You can
side by side are going to
Governor
be.
turn 1, and then you turn to him. You could name something that removes him, and then play this, and then they're like...
I think it's definitely a card that is going to be really interesting to see where it falls. It could end up being just a really good sideboard card coming in against those Boba Fett's and those Thrawns that are running a lot of those events, or maybe if an aggression deck is running a lot of that removal in the form of Open Fire, Force Choke, Aggression if it's mono red. I think those are the kind of things that you're sideboarding this in against. Or we could just see this become a main board card for those blue villain decks and being able and saying, well, look, yeah, there are some that use it more than others, but really every single deck in the game is going to be running some events.
This, for me personally, I just look at this card and I think this is such a powerful card. It's such an incentive to play it because it's a 3/3 Imperial Trooper that has Restore 1. That is enough for me to go, awesome. The caveat of making your opponent's events cost 1 more, I give this card a 4.5 out of 5.
It's been some banger cards that have been coming out.
Absolutely wild cards. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Speaking of absolute bangers.
Oh my god.
Speaking of absolute bangers.
We've already talked about Grand Inquisitor enough.
Are we done fighting?
We are. We're going to keep fighting.
We're going to keep fighting.
Another aggression card.
2-cost aggression event. Choose a unit of 3 power or less and ready it.
The artwork for this, I love it. It's Commander Fox's last stand when him and the rest of the Coruscant can't fight the droids. But that, wow, okay. So, but you know, it's already a non-leader, right?
Nope.
Oh, okay. So my Grand Inquisitor, my Leia, my Sabine, they can all untap.
All untap for 2.
And they can all attack again.
Attack again.
So I can get double attacks with Leia, I can get extra base damage with Sabine, and you're telling me I can double untap my units with Grand Inquisitor?
You sure can.
Well, that seems really, really strong for 2 resources.
Could be because it's really, really strong for 2 resources.
I see.
The closest we had to this was aggression, which was a 4-cost. Yes, you do something else as well, but regardless, you had to pay 4 for this effect previously.
Both. Just run mono aggression.
Or that.
And run both.
This is a card that is... It's just
This is
good.
wild.
It's just good. This is a
insane.
card that you're going to be happy to see and that you're going to want in all decks that are trying to go aggressive.
Absolutely. As an aggro player, I saw this and my jaw dropped. Okay, you've claimed. Sweet. Boom, boom, untap. Oh, man. Benthic 2 Tubes has given this guy raid for the phase.
For the
That
phase.
means for the turn. So if I swing with my 3 power Fighters for Freedom, get in at you for 5, and then pay 2 to play this to untap it and swing again for 5, that's 10 damage. There's a third of your base, or more than a third if you're running a 25 health base. For 2 resources.
Yeah.
I mean, this is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a card that is going to be huge coming in for... Yeah, Grand Inquisitor is the obvious one, but any of these red decks that are going to be running this in...
I think you run a 2 of this in any red deck, unless maybe you're a control deck, and even then I'm thinking this is really, really good. Another card that will just get better the more that comes out. The more units we get that have busted when attacks, this gets better. The more units we get that have busted when defeats, this gets better because you can swing and deal a little bit of damage and untap it and swing, and then you can 2-for-1 something and get an ability off. It's wild. 5 out of 5.
It's
5 out of 5
very
on the
good.
Spiceometer. This card is
Spiceometer is
amazing.
breaking today.
It's hit. If I could go 6s, I would.
Speaking of very interesting cards that we have gotten.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk about this the whole time. James,
What?
What is it?
It is Volunteer Soldier.
It's a 3 resource.
What aspects?
It's a 3 resource 3/3
With what aspects?
trooper with raid 1.
With what aspects?
I'm glad you asked. It has no aspect.
Nope. It is a neutral card. True neutral.
When Tyler was asked about this on stream, his response was very simple, and I think I said it out loud as well when I was watching. This is draft. Neutral cards are made for draft. You're building a deck. Draft is tough. You might not be able to pad it out. So you run these neutral cards. These are great. They can be included in any deck you build. And Tyler said as well on stream, which made me really happy, they may not support the large overarching themes in the set, but they'll be there to support the smaller ones.
Yeah.
Like Trooper, for instance, this one is a 3 cost 2/3 Trooper with raid 1. If you control a Trooper unit, this unit costs 1 less to play. It's a 2 cost with raid 1 Trooper. That's pretty great, especially just for a unit you can chuck in any deck.
I don't think we're going to see any of these neutral cards that are going to blow us out of the water.
But they're not going to be bad.
Exactly. I think these cards are all going to be this kind of thing in draft. You can probably slot it into constructed decks that you're looking for.
I mean, I'm running this in Troopers.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those cases where and it's not just filler for draft for filler's sake. It actually has a place in those decks, and you know, and you want to be running certain ones of them to really fill out the deck in a way that's going to be satisfying.
I like this card. I think this is an interesting card. I think it, again, is a fine addition to the Trooper archetype. For those of you who were wondering, we got a lot of Trooper support, and that's because Tyler was playing Vader Trooper deck on the stream, so they rushed out some cards to be able to not have to show off like a bunch of cards, and then they still ended up showing us a bunch of cards, which thank you so much, FFG. What a good end of the year. Thank you so much.
There's a lot of cards, and we're very happy about it.
But this card's awesome.
Very cool.
I think this is a pretty alright card. I think it's great in Troopers. I'm not sure where else you're going to put it. I would give it a 2.5 out of 5, mainly because it is neutral, which is awesome, but it does limit itself by being a Trooper, pretty much a Trooper exclusive. And whilst you could build a lot of different Trooper decks, and this slots into a lot of them, I can't put this in a Force deck, I can't put this in a Rebel deck, I can't put it in an Imperial deck. So I give it 2.5 out of 5 because it's great in Troopers, but it's probably me in everything else. So moving on to the next one.
We have...
Well, we saw this art in an article a little while ago, and I think you made a comment and you were like, man, this game's got amazing art.
This art is very pretty. I do like this art a lot. We saw this at the same time we saw that kind of Palpatine art that we're yet to see the card for.
Yeah, the throne room art,
this is Redemption. It is an 8 cost. Blue hero. It is a 6/9. It is a Sentinel.
Rebel vehicle capital ship.
And its ability is, when played, heal up to 8 total damage from any number of unit cards or bases.
And all bases.
And
deal
that much damage to this unit.
So this is pretty wild. It's a 6 power 9 health Space Sentinel. That's good. And then you can just heal a bunch from bases. I can heal my opponent's base for 8, James. And I can beat them down more. I can nearly kill them with Sabine and go, hey buddy, I got you. So I can have more fun. But in all seriousness, wow.
Yeah, this is a very interesting card.
You play it, you can heal 8, and then they have to swing into it if they have any space units, which can be pretty wild. I mean, yeah, it drops to 1 health, but I think there's a lot of versatility with this card, and it's a tough one that, like, your opponent, you play it down, and your opponent's just probably going to be like, ugh, like, how do I deal with this?
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, it's going to be a case of this is really going to depend on what you're playing against to see what it's kind of worth. And I think in this situation where we're going to be seeing this, choosing how much to heal is the important part. Choosing enough to heal that whatever they have in space currently can swing into it and not kill it and get taken out. So it's defended, like, and maybe only healing 4 and keeping 5 health because they have or maybe healing 5, keeping 4 because they have a Consortium Star Viper.
Or they could have 2 Arc 170s, and you just sit there with your 6/4 in space and be like, you can definitely kill it.
Yeah, and it's one of those cases where you choosing how much health it has actually has a lot of value because you can make it the right health for what you need, and the rest can just go to heal your base.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not... This is not the case of where you're like, well, I'm just going to heal 8 and have a 6/1. No, you're going to heal 2 if you need to heal. You're going to say, I need this much health to defend what I want to defend. The rest of that can go to my base.
But this can, like, for sure come in clutch in games where, man, my opponent's got a Relentless, I'm getting really beat down. Slap this down. I will heal 8 from my base. Your Relentless has to swing into it, and then I just drop my Consortium Star Viper or my Millennium Falcon, and I kill your Relentless.
Yeah.
And then we're back at square one, but I have 8 more health. Is awesome. This card's so sweet. I like the idea of what you were saying, where you could just sit there and be like, I don't need a lot of toughness on this, or health on this, or play this. I'm going to make it a 6/4. I'm going to heal 5.
Yeah.
Which is pretty great.
And or you can also just say, awesome, I don't need the heals, but what I do need is a 6/9 Space Sentinel.
Yep, nothing wrong with that. That is a tough card to get rid of. So honestly, I'm going to say, I reckon I give this one probably like a 4 out of 5 on the Spice Summoner. I think it's pretty great, pretty middle of the road. I definitely think maybe you run it 2 of them in like a slower style Blue Hero control deck. Well, we've hit that time of the year again where it's yellow.
And we're very happy about it.
Nah, we love yellow cards. We're excited for... Okay, I remember when this game first came out and we got the cycle of dual cards, and I was like, this is it. I was like, this is all we're going to see. We're just going to get these 4. It looks like we're probably going to get around 3 duels per color. This is Bodhi Rook. For those of you who know him and love him, he's from Rogue One. He's 3 Cunning for a 3/3 Imperial Rebel, which is
he's got both of them.
Very fitting for him.
He's got both of them.
Do you like Spark of Rebellion?
I'm a fan.
Not the set, the card. I mean, I know you like the set, but the card.
I'm a fan.
What if you had Spark of Rebellion, slightly more selective, but he was on a 3/3 body?
Sounds crazy. You're crazy.
Well, I'm crazy. I'm so crazy that's an Imperial Rebel, and his name is Bodhi Rook. So he's 3 Cunning for a 3/3 that when played, look at an opponent's hand and discard a non-unit card from it. Nice shoot first.
Yeah, I think this is going to...
Overwhelming Barrage? Get it out of here!
I think we are starting to see that point in time where we might begin to see maybe like a Han discard deck. Like, it's not gonna be...
This is Boba Fett all the way, buddy.
All Boba Fett, but like with Sparkle Rebellion, Cunning, and this, you could actually start to take we've reached a point where you could start to take a chip away from someone's hand.
I kind of think Jin would be more suitable.
I forgot about Jin, and you are absolutely correct.
A Jin hand discard deck, because you're lowering your opponent's resources in hand, and then they just can't deal with you because every time that you play a unit, well, it's going to die and mine's not, because mine's got more health than yours, because when I swing it gets minus. So you're destroying your opponent's board resources, destroying your opponent's hand resources. We get a couple more cards like this, we could potentially see mono yellow Jin do work. I mean, you get access to Cunning, you get access to Asteroid Sanctuary, you get access to Rogue Operatives, you know, you see 3POs,
yeah, absolutely.
Get access to Bodhi Rook. There's a lot of cards that definitely could work real nicely with Jin. If we see a couple more yellow hand discard, I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility that that's going to be a deck.
Yeah, I definitely think that it could definitely be something that starts to get cooked up.
Yeah, I now that we've just talked, like we literally just started that now. I actually think I might have a look at that after this.
And what you're going to see is
cool.
you're going to see it in this week's gameplay video.
You're not.
Yeah, you are. That's the
my
deck
God.
I'm playing now because I hadn't decided.
Really?
Really.
Check out this week's gameplay for Taka Troopers versus Mono Yellow Jin and this card. I'm so ready. I'm not ready, but I'm so ready. Wow, okay. Well, I guess I'm going to get Han soloed with a side of Chewbacca Sentinel. Chewbacca Sentinel notably very good in Geonoso.
Yeah.
But this card's awesome. This card's awesome. Hopefully you see it in this week's episode.
I've thrown him off.
You've fully thrown me off. We're not prepared for this. I like this. But again, the limiting factor of what decks it can be played in definitely does bring it down for me. Much like all of the dual color cards, the dual color events are exceptions because they just do so much.
Yeah.
They just do so
The
much.
choose two is
that
just huge
that they
for them.
can't. They choose 2 for 4. That they just can't not be good. But that being said, Bodhi Rook for me is still a 3. I put him in the middle of the road because mono yellow is powerful.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption. I think this is going to be a really interesting card to see where it lies because I think mono yellow is still at the moment a little bit awkward, and even though we've seen so much of it, of really finding its identity and what it wants to be.
I'm personally not looking forward to, hopefully you don't do it to me tonight, but turn 1 Spark Rebellion, turn 2 Bodhi Rook, turn 3 Cunning, discard a card, give +4 to Bodhi Rook, swing for 7 at your base. I don't like that. I hope not. Go check out the episode and then let me know in the comments if it happened to me. And then I can be all like, yeah, it'll happen.
But moving on, we have more cards to deal with and very little time to do it in.
Oh boy.
We're moving on to Cartel Spacer. This is a 2-cost cunning villain. It is a 2/3 underworld vehicle fighter.
Space unit.
It is a space unit. Good to know.
Pretty interesting when played.
Yeah, when played, if you control another cunning unit, exhaust an enemy unit of 4 or less.
This definitely goes into Mono Yellow Boba. I think that it's just, it's Asteroid Sanctuary, but
on a 2/3
But
body.
Asteroid Sanctuary is a 2/3 instead of a shield.
Yeah, and I think that's this also slots right into Thrawn as well.
I think it slots into Thrawn. I think if you're just building any yellow villain deck and you're like, I need space units, this should be your first port of call. Because you're probably going to have another yellow unit. If you don't have another yellow unit, it's a 2/3 in space. And we know they're meant to be understated. This is awesome. This is a great card. This is a solid turn 2 play.
Turn 1 play?
Yeah, it's a turn 1 play. Turn 1, 2/3 in space. That's annoying. I mean, X-Wings do it, and it's like...
It's one of those things where it's like, it has a little bit more value if you play it later on when you have that cunning on board. But if you don't have another option... If you don't have another option, it's better than passing.
I'd probably give this one like a 3.5 out of 5. I think it's pretty solid. Crafty Smuggler.
Another person coming in is Crafty Smuggler.
Another guy with a gun.
Another man with a gun.
Man with a gun. Crafty Smuggler. He's a 2-cost cunning 2/2. This, for me, is the counterpart, sort of, to 7th Fleet Defender because he is a 2/2 with shielded.
Yeah.
This is an interesting card. It can 2-for-1 low body units pretty easily. I don't know if this card, for me personally, goes further than draft. Maybe if I'm struggling to put a mono yellow deck together. I think this would work good in the Jin deck. I think
this card really struggles in that there's a lot of 2/3s. There's a lot of 2/3s and
not a lot of 3/2s, surprisingly.
Not a lot of 3/2s, and so 2 damage. We found it in the Wilderness Survivor, in a lot of things. 2 attack is a really awkward number at the moment, and it really struggles to actually get any KOs in. It's like, yeah, you can swing twice into something and probably take it out, but that's taking you 2 turns. That's taking this guy out as well. This guy trades even with a R2-D2. Like, it's one of those cases where...
He hits Viper probe droids and stuff, but a lot of the time, if he's going to be swinging into something, it's going to take 2 swings, which will probably kill him. So, like, for me, personally, this card is definitely a draft card, but I think it might have its place in a mono yellow deck. But the thing is, in saying that, I think we're probably going to see some other cards that will just replace it.
Yeah, I think this is a card that is going to be interesting to look at, and especially if we get something later down the line that synergizes more with shields, then we might be starting to see this make a resurgence. But for now, I think this is a fairly middle-of-the-road standard card. I think, honestly, I'd take 7 Fleet Defender over this.
Yeah, same. I'd probably give it. I give this one a 2 out of 5 on the Spice Squadron. It's just a bit. To me, it's draft. It's time, James.
Oh, we finally reached the final card, and it is an absolute doozy.
I love Cassian Andor. He's smart. He's sexy. He's a rebel. He's Spanish. He's everything you could want in a man and more. So why not put him on awesome art, put it on an awesome card. This, for a cause I believe in, one of the best speeches in Star Wars from Rogue One, which inspires a bunch of people to go on a suicide mission, arguably one of the coolest missions I've seen in Star Wars. The X-Wing scene with that shield, with that shield generator over the complex never gets old to me. This is a 3-cost red hero event with the awesome Cassian Andor art, which we've seen before.
Yep.
I really love this artwork. I'm so glad that they put it on such a good card. Reveal the top 4 cards of your deck. For each hero card revealed this way, deal 1 damage to an enemy base. You may discard any number of the revealed cards and put the rest back on the top of your library. Top of your deck in any order. Wow!
Yeah.
If I'm building a deck and I've got all hero cards, which last week, if you check the deck list for my Sabine deck, the only non-hero cards in that deck were events. I'm hitting. I'm 3 for 4 damage. If I get cards I don't want, they're going in the bin so that the next cards I draw are going to be those awesome, awesome cards I want. I need this Ezra, and I don't want to have to get through this R2 to do it. He's gone.
Yeah, putting them back in whatever order you want and getting rid of the ones that you don't want to draw anymore is huge. If you're looking to get some more use out of your My Only Hope, if you're looking to be able to stack your deck in the way you want, if you're looking to burn your opponent, this is a card that does all 3. And the fact that it can do all 3 of those things is nuts.
4-3. This is a turn 2 play. You can't drop to low health against Red Hero with this card.
No.
I actually think that if you build your deck in the right way, most of the time, 80% of the time, you're dealing 3 damage with this card.
Oh, yeah.
If not more. And your opponent can't stop it. Pay 3, you take 4. Pay 3, you take 4. In like my last week's Sabine deck, where I definitely would cut cards for this.
Yeah, and absolutely. Sabine loves this card.
I think I'd only run shoot first and surprise strikes, and everything else is heroes.
Yeah. And
then I'm playing this and I'm just going, take 4. Just deal with it. Especially in that late game where you're like, cool, I play my 2-cost unit because it's a low curve deck. And then you're like, but I've got these resources floating around. Sweet, pay 3. For Fighters for Freedom, this card can potentially deal a ceiling of 5 damage. That is insane.
Heck, get multiple Fighters for Freedom out, and
yeah, right. 5 damage with a Fighters for Freedom out. That's a Vader swing. That's a Vader swing, and for technically 1 less resource if you add it all together. But you could follow that up by turn 2 doing a Fighters for Freedom, turn 3 doing a For a Cause I Believe in. I just really like this card. I'm a big fan of Burn. I think this complements K2SO really nicely because turn 1 you could go Sabine unit, turn 2 For a Cause I Believe in, turn 3 K2SO, turn 4 you can just keep going and going and going, and you can burn your opponent out. That Sabine burn deck dream is real. It is live, and for me it's coming together, and I love it. I live for it. I think this is such a sweet card. I definitely think that there are a lot of decks you can run it in. And I definitely think it's going to catch a lot of people off guard and close out a lot of games.
Yeah, I think this is a card that is going to be feared by the community. It is a card that is going to be like, if my opponent's holding 3 at any point, I'm taking 4 damage. I'm taking 3 damage, and that is a dangerous thing.
In a Sabine deck that is predominantly hero, I think that's the big thing. A lot of people see this and dismiss and go, "Oh, but I'm not running a lot of heroes." There are a lot of good heroes, and if you sit down and you look through your deck, you'll find that most of the time this card's going to be doing 2 to 3 damage. Most of the time. I think that this card, I'd put this on the same level with Surprise Strike of, hey, if you've got an undead.
Yeah.
And I think that's wild. I think that's big. I think it's insane to me. I think it's an awesome card. I personally love this. I love this so much. The rating might change in the future once we're done, but I give this 5 out of 5. I think it's wild. I think non-interactable damage. I think deck stacking. I think if you play this in tandem with an Ezra, I think if you play this in tandem with You're My Only Hope, there's a lot of cards that this just works well with. Hey, I don't want these cards, they're gone, and you take 4 damage for it.
Yeah. This is a card that we're going to be seeing a lot of, and that we're very excited to see a lot of.
Yeah. Give me more like this. Give me K2SOs, give me 4 Cores I Believes in. Give it to me.
Oh, that's it.
That's it. We're done.
That's all of them.
We got through them.
Would like to point out, you might have noticed that the video quality has improved a little bit. That is because we've got a new camera. We're all sparkly and
you can see
fun.
us all ugly in 4K now. So hopefully a bit of a better quality. It's like a little bit of a jump up, like we got when we got the lapel mics. But wow, this has been quite a big week. I don't know if next week's going to be as big.
I'd like to talk about something other than spoiler cards, and
yeah, this is definitely our big catch up week. But I think next week's going to be definitely a fun video. It's going to be our Christmas episode. Next Monday is Christmas. So that's exciting. That's going to be really fun. Merry Christmas. I'll definitely be wearing a hat next episode. Fingers crossed. And tell future yourself when he inevitably forgets his hat. But all in all, I'd say a lot of these cards, I think there was only one that was less than 2.5.
Yeah, I think we just
got most of them were 3 or more.
And an interesting thing, no legendaries.
So good. Again, I really appreciate, I know a lot of people are concerned about the cost of legendaries, and honestly guys, fair enough. Cards can end up spiking in price quite heavily. We can see, the secondary market for card games can be pretty brutal sometimes, but I'm going to say it now. There are a lot of legendaries. I don't think a lot of them are going to be as expensive as people think they are, which is a good thing. And a lot of the decks that you can build don't need them. Troopers doesn't even need them.
Yeah, I think and we've seen in especially this grouping a lot of really good cards that are at the level of some legendaries that we've seen, but
and I think at the end of the day, everyone, if you pull a hyperspace foil for a cause, hit me up because I want that card. And
that is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching.
Go check
out the gameplay video. Check out if I do get that
awful turn.
That awful turn. And we will see you next week.
Bye.